Listen closely. When the moon enters Cancer on August 18th, something profound shifts in the emotional landscape of every person on Earth. This is not just another astrological event. This is the moon returning to its celestial home, where its power reaches maximum intensity and its influence penetrates the deepest layers of your psyche. The moon governs our inner world, our most ancient memories, and our fundamental need for belonging. When it enters Cancer, the sign it naturally rules, its energy becomes amplified beyond ordinary limits. This cosmic event opens doorways to your emotional past that have remained sealed, sometimes for decades. It brings to the surface feelings, needs, and memories you believed were permanently buried in the depths of your unconscious mind. This transit is asking you a fundamental question about the quality of your emotional foundation. Think of this foundation as your inner nest, the psychological space where you should feel completely safe, nurtured, and free to express your authentic self without fear of judgment or abandonment. For many people, this nest was damaged by early life experiences or perhaps never properly constructed at all. The moon in Cancer transit acts like an emotional X-ray, revealing the true condition of your inner sanctuary. It shows you exactly where the cracks exist in your sense of safety and belonging. More importantly, it provides the cosmic energy necessary to begin repair work on these damaged areas of your emotional architecture. During this transit, you will likely experience the first wave of what appears to be simple nostalgia. Without any apparent trigger, you might find yourself thinking about childhood moments with unusual intensity. The smell of your grandmother's kitchen might suddenly flood your senses. You could feel an overwhelming urge to look through old photographs or watch that comforting movie you have seen countless times. You might feel compelled to reach out to friends you have not spoken to in years. This nostalgic wave is not random sentimentality. Your soul is conducting an emotional inventory under the influence of the Cancer moon. It is showing you images and sensations that once represented home, safety, and unconditional love. Your emotional system is establishing a reference point, creating a baseline measurement against which it can evaluate your current state of inner security. The question your soul asks through these memories is direct and unavoidable. Do you remember what genuine nurturing feels like? Do you still experience that level of safety and belonging in your present life? This comparison between past and present inevitably reveals gaps in your current emotional security, and this is where the shadow aspect of the Cancer moon begins to emerge. As nostalgia gives way to deeper awareness, many people experience what can only be described as profound neediness. This is not weakness or immaturity. This is the acute pain that arises when your fundamental needs for safety, belonging, and emotional nourishment are not being met in your current circumstances. Under the amplified influence of the Cancer moon, this feeling can become almost overwhelming. This neediness manifests as hypersensitivity to rejection. A small gesture of indifference from someone you care about can feel like monumental abandonment. You might experience a literal sensation of emptiness in your chest, as if something essential is missing from your core. The fear of loneliness can become so intense that you find yourself clinging to relationships or situations you know are unhealthy, simply because the alternative of being alone feels unbearable. The Cancer moon shadow also creates desperate seeking of external validation. You might post something on social media not to share a genuine moment, but to count the responses as proof that you are valued and seen. You might initiate conversations not to connect authentically, but to test whether the other person is available and affectionate toward you. This represents the first major test that the Cancer moon presents. The pure energy of Cancer wants you to find security within yourself, to become your own source of emotional nourishment and safety. The shadow energy pushes you to seek these things desperately from external sources, often leaving you emptier than before. The test is whether you can observe these feelings of neediness without immediately acting on them in self-defeating ways. Can you provide comfort to yourself instead of begging for it from sources that cannot truly satisfy your deeper hunger? Can you sit with the discomfort of emotional vulnerability without immediately seeking relief in toxic dynamics or superficial connections? Your physical body becomes an essential guide during this transit. The body never lies about the true state of your emotional nest. Under the Cancer moon influence, you may notice increased physical sensitivity and vulnerability. Your digestive system might become more reactive, as this is the bodily area most connected to emotional processing in Cancer energy. You will likely experience intense cravings for comfort foods that connect you to childhood memories and feelings of being cared for. There will be an almost primal need for physical comfort, warmth, and nurturing touch. Your body literally asks to be nested, to be held and soothed like a child seeking safety. Pay careful attention to these physical signals. If you feel warm nostalgia accompanied by contentment and peace in your current life, your emotional nest is fundamentally strong. However, if the nostalgia transforms into painful neediness, if you feel emotionally reactive and physically vulnerable, your system is providing a clear diagnosis. There are significant gaps in the walls of your nest, and the universe is offering you tools to begin necessary repairs. To begin this repair work, you must first calibrate your internal emotional compass. This compass is your body's wisdom about what truly nourishes versus what depletes your energy. The Cancer moon at maximum potency activates this ancient guidance system, but you must learn to read its signals accurately. Begin by accessing your sensory memory of complete safety. Close your eyes and recall any moment in your life when you felt 100% secure, welcomed, and unconditionally loved. This might be a childhood memory of being held by a grandparent, a moment of deep connection with a trusted friend, or a time alone in nature where you felt completely at peace. Do not analyze this memory intellectually. Instead, feel it completely in your body. Notice what happens to your breathing when you access this feeling of safety. Your breath probably deepens and slows. Observe what happens to your shoulders and the muscles in your face. They likely relax and soften. Notice where warmth appears in your body, perhaps in your chest or stomach area. This physical sensation is your safety signature, your body's way of saying yes to experiences and people that truly nourish your soul. Memorize this feeling and register it as your internal reference point for genuine security. Now, still with your eyes closed, briefly recall a memory of feeling emotionally unsafe, judged, or manipulated. Do this only long enough to register the physical response. Notice what happens in your body when you access this unsafe memory. You might feel a knot forming in your stomach, tightness in your throat, or a cold sensation running through your system. You might feel an instinctive urge to shrink or protect yourself. This is your danger signature, your nervous system's unmistakable warning signal about experiences and people that threaten your emotional well-being. With these two signatures clearly identified, you now have a reliable compass for navigating relationships and situations. Using this calibrated compass, begin examining the people closest to you. Bring each person to mind individually and simply feel, without judgment, which ones evoke your safety signature. Who are the people with whom you can be completely yourself, including your flaws and imperfections, without fear of punishment or abandonment? With whom do you feel energized and nourished rather than drained and exhausted after spending time together? These people represent the strong walls of your emotional nest. They offer genuine care without invisible conditions or expectations of emotional debt. They celebrate your strengths and welcome your vulnerabilities with equal acceptance. Consciously recognizing and valuing these relationships is the foundation of building stronger emotional security. Now comes the most challenging but essential part of this inspection process. Using the same compass, examine the dynamics that trigger your danger signature. The Cancer moon in its shadow aspect is masterful at revealing emotional manipulation and illuminating false nests. These are connections that appear safe and loving on the surface, but operate on an energetic level that is deeply toxic and invasive. There are three classic patterns of false nests that this moon transit will expose with relentless clarity. The first pattern involves guilt-based manipulation. Observe the people in your life who use phrases like "after everything I have done for you," or who respond to your reasonable boundaries with wounded sighs or emotional withdrawal. These individuals offer care, but attach an invisible price of obligation and emotional debt, ensuring that you never feel free to be yourself or make independent choices. The second pattern involves chronic victimhood dynamics. Identify those people who perpetually position themselves as victims to capture your attention and energy. They make you feel constantly responsible for their happiness and emotional state, draining your life force while keeping you trapped in an endless cycle of rescue attempts that never actually help them. The third pattern involves invasive care that suffocates rather than nurtures. This is love that does not respect boundaries, that insists on knowing everything about your private thoughts and feelings, that gives constant, unsolicited advice, and that attempts to reshape you according to the other person's image of who you should be. This is not care at all, but a violation of your emotional nest disguised as concern. The test here requires courage to trust your bodily compass, even when your logical mind generates excuses and justifications. Your thoughts might protest with statements like, "but they are family," or "but they have good intentions," or "but I love them." Your body knows the difference between what truly nourishes and what slowly poisons your emotional well-being. Most people experiencing the amplified neediness of this moon transit will seek shelter anywhere they can find it. They will ignore the clear signals from their internal compass and nest in relationships that diminish them, purely out of fear of being alone. They will choose familiar but false security over the apparent vulnerability of having no nest at all. However, you now have the tools to make a different choice. You can become the conscious guardian of your own emotional gateway. You can honor your need for safety by refusing to accept anything less than genuine, unconditional, nurturing security that your soul deserves. This leads to the practical work of building and protecting your emotional fortress. You have completed the inspection phase by calibrating your compass, identifying your genuine safe harbors, and exposing the false nests that drain your energy. Now begins the true work of conscious creation, the deliberate construction of your inner kingdom of safety. A secure emotional nest is not a gift the world provides for you. It is a conscious creation, an act of profound self-respect and self-love. The process involves three essential phases of construction that transform abstract concepts into lived reality. The first phase involves mapping your existing safety resources. Before building protective walls, you must survey the territory and identify the sources of strength already available to you. In moments of neediness, people often forget they are not completely helpless. They overlook the resources that already exist in their lives. Take time to create a comprehensive map of your current safety resources. Divide this map into three categories. First, identify your refuge people. These are the individuals who pass the test of your emotional compass, those who consistently evoke your safety signature. Do not worry about quantity. There may be only one or two such people in your life. What matters is the quality of energy they provide. These are your true allies, the people who nourish your nest without expecting anything in return. Second, identify your sanctuary places. These are physical locations where you feel intrinsically safe and peaceful. This might be a specific corner of your home with a comfortable chair, a nearby park, a quiet library, the ocean shore, or even your car with music playing. These are places where your energy can recharge without the need to maintain constant defensive alertness. Third, identify your anchor activities. These are specific actions that bring you back to your center and calm your nervous system. This might include cooking a particular meal, listening to certain types of music, taking long baths, caring for plants, writing, drawing, or meditation. These activities, however simple they may seem, nourish your soul and provide reliable comfort. This map becomes your emotional first aid kit, your action plan for moments when the neediness of the Cancer moon strikes. You will not need to think desperately about where to find relief or seek comfort in toxic places. You will know exactly where to go and what to do to restore your sense of safety. The second phase involves building clear emotional boundaries to protect your safe territory. A nest without boundaries is not a sanctuary, but a public space open to anyone who wants to enter and create disruption. Emotional boundaries represent the most fundamental act of self-love that Cancer energy teaches. Think about the dynamics and people who triggered your danger signature during the inspection process. Choose one of them, preferably the most pressing situation that drains your energy most significantly. Your task is to build a clear, defined boundary around this dynamic. Create what can be called a gate decree, a formal statement of protection for your emotional space. The formula is simple but powerful. Begin with "to protect my peace and energy, I will no longer," and complete it with the specific behavior you will stop tolerating or engaging in. For example, "to protect my peace and energy, I will no longer answer phone calls from this person after 9 in the evening." Or "to protect my peace and energy, I will no longer take responsibility for my mother's emotional happiness." Perhaps "to protect my peace and energy, I will no longer say yes to invitations and commitments out of obligation or fear of disappointing others." Write your decree clearly and read it aloud. Feel the power that comes from becoming the conscious guardian of your own gate. This decree is not about being aggressive toward others. It is about being loyal to yourself and your well-being. It may seem selfish to a mind conditioned to please everyone else, but it is actually the opposite of selfishness. By protecting your own energy, you will have much more genuine, nurturing energy to offer to those you consciously choose to welcome into your nest. You cannot give what you do not have, and you cannot nourish others from an empty well. The third phase involves decorating your sanctuary to make it a place where your soul genuinely wants to dwell. With your territory mapped and your walls established, the final step is creating beauty, comfort, and genuine nourishment in your space. Choose one small action you can take within the next 48 hours to make your physical environment safer, more beautiful, and more welcoming. This does not require major renovation or significant expense. Cancer energy delights in small gestures that bring comfort and beauty to daily life. You might purchase a soft blanket you have been wanting for months. You could finally hang that artwork that has been leaning against the wall. You might cook your favorite comfort food with complete presence and love. You could clean and organize one corner of your bedroom, perhaps creating a small personal altar with a candle, a meaningful object, or an inspiring book. You might add a living plant to bring more life energy into your space. This physical action anchors all the internal work you have accomplished. It sends a clear message to your subconscious mind that you deserve a safe place, that you are worthy of comfort and beauty, and that you are capable of being your own source of home and security. The message transforms the abstract concept of emotional safety into a tangible, felt experience in your daily reality. By completing these 3 phases of mapping your resources, establishing your boundaries, and enhancing your sanctuary, you accomplish far more than a simple self-care exercise. You initiate one of the most sacred processes in human development, the conscious construction of your own emotional home. What the Cancer moon at maximum potency teaches is that home is not primarily a physical structure with walls and a roof. Home is a state of being, an energetic frequency you cultivate within yourself. True home is the feeling of unshakable safety that exists in your own center, the certainty that no matter how chaotic the external world becomes, you will always have a safe, nurtured, familiar place to return to within your own soul. Your physical house can be taken from you by circumstances beyond your control, but your inner home, once built and fortified through conscious effort, belongs to you forever. By establishing clear boundaries and consciously choosing who can and cannot enter your sacred emotional space, you cease being a victim of other people's emotional chaos and become the sovereign guardian of your own peace. This represents the mature power of Cancer energy, often misunderstood by those who see it only as emotional vulnerability. It is not the childish power of building high walls to isolate yourself from the world out of fear. It is the adult power of having a solid gate with a drawbridge, and most importantly, the wisdom to know when to lower the bridge for genuine connection, and when to raise it to protect yourself from invasion, manipulation, and emotional toxicity. True emotional security, the great treasure this transit offers, is not the absence of dangers in the outside world. That is a fantasy that no amount of effort can create. True safety is the unshakable trust in your ability to protect your inner world. It is knowing that your peace is non-negotiable and that you have both the tools and the divine permission to defend it at any cost, even if defending it displeases others. This feeling of being nested within yourself does not have to disappear when the moon changes signs. The practices you learn during this transit become permanent tools in your emotional toolkit. The map of your safe territory remains in your awareness. The decree of your boundaries becomes engraved in your consciousness. The comfort of your enhanced sanctuary exists in your daily environment. You have built the fortress of your emotional security. Now your ongoing work is to inhabit it fully, to live from this place of inner safety, rather than from the old patterns of seeking security from external sources that can never provide the deep nourishment your soul requires. The Cancer moon transit offers a rare opportunity to heal childhood wounds that may have been affecting your life for decades. It provides the cosmic energy necessary to build genuine emotional security from the ground up. Most importantly, it teaches you that you have the power to create the safety and belonging you have always needed, regardless of what you received or did not receive in your early life. This is not about blame or dwelling in past hurts. This is about taking full responsibility for creating the emotional environment you deserve, starting now and continuing for the rest of your life. The moon in Cancer shows you that home is not something you find in the world. Home is something you build within yourself and then share with those worthy of entering your sacred space.